Welcome to the Silver Report Uncut. Now here we are. We see that pending home sales have now tumbled to 4-year lows. Now we've seen this housing market has continued to turn around. And, what was the cause of it all? We can point to one sign. GM wants to go out. They want to spin what's going on over there in Detroit as some sort of good thing that the company's just had a new vision. They're just going to rethink the way that they do business. And that's just not what's happening. Interest rates are going up. Auto sales are down. Home sales are down. What we're seeing is that we've seen the largest drop since 2014. In fact, the National Association of Realtors, they reported Thursday that they expect home prices to drop 2.5% in 2019. But it's interesting, they went and they corrected the statement to say that they expected them to rise about 2.5% just in the next year. So they went back and changed the original story. And of course, U.S. pending home sales, they fell 2.6%. It was 104.8 in September. For October, it was 102.1. The National Association of Realtors said that that was the lowest they've seen since June 2014. The NAR's index that tracks the real estate contract signings is down 6.7% compared to just 1 year ago. In fact, it's all been phony, and I wanted to show you this picture and just what we're looking at and the major shift that began to take place in 2008 as we began to see a shift of the American consumer out of home ownership. They simply, became bank-owned homes, or this buy-to-rent game that has been going on that's been driving up home prices. In fact, these pictures, they came from Real Investment Advice. I think it was Lance Roberts. But he said, quote, as the buy-to-rent game drives prices of homes higher, it reduces inventory and increases rental rates. This, in turn, prices out first-time home buyers who would become longer-term homeowners, hence the low rates of home ownership rates noted above. And then he went on to say something that was actually rather alarming, and it opened my eyes to just how bad things could get. Quote, speculators have flooded the market with the majority of the properties being paid for in cash and then turned into rentals. This activity drives the prices of homes higher, reduces inventory, and increases rental rates, which prices first-time home buyers out of the market. So this is where it gets alarming. The recent rise in home ownership rate and subsequent decline in renter-occupied housing may be an early sign of rental investors, aka hedge funds, beginning to exit the market. Why are they exiting? Because interest rates are going up. He continued, if rates rise further, raising borrowing costs, there could be a rush for the exits as the herd of speculative buyers turn into mass sellers. If there isn't a large enough pool of qualified buyers to absorb the inventory, there will be a sharp reversion in prices. And we know that, over the past years, they've been building this inventory. Another thing we looked at, and it's one thing, because we talk about this is a nation of renters. When we look again back at that graphic, we're a nation of renters. And largely, this got much, much worse right after 2008, whenever so many people went out and lost their homes. But not all of home sales seem to be declining since then. It's very interesting on this graph right here. When you look at the homes that are less than $150,000, and you look at the change that began to take place around 2008, by the end of 2011, those home sales have completely evaporated. Any home that's less than $150,000, the hope of them getting a sale is significantly decreased. Between $150,000 and $199,000, we see that those sales also have gone down since then. They're almost dragging. They're just, collapsed. But what has been balancing it out? Since the same time, we see that there's been an increase. There's been also a slight increase in the $200,000 to $299,000 range, but definitely you see it in the $300,000 to $399,000 range. There was a flurry of activity, and there was also a dramatic increase in what we see greater than $750,000 between $500,000 and $749,000. So while everyone else was losing their homes, the enormously wealthy in this nation were flip-flopping and trading and purchasing new homes. All the home sales were going to the ultra rich or, very high priced homes. And that's another part when we were talking about that they're shaping out these mega cities. And that's what they're doing. They're forming these mega cities. And what I mean by that is they create a vacuum, and it's a money vacuum in these towns. You see it all over the place. You're going to see it soon in Detroit. And I hate to say it, but what does it mean when GM's going to be shuttering multiple plants? I love how the guy came out and said, well, they didn't say they're shuttering them permanently. Actually, the statement was that they were shuttering them. Simply because he didn't mention permanently, I would still be alarmed. It's going to devastate whole communities over there. And just like it already has. Just like the steel bankruptcies we saw back in the 1980s, cleared out Pittsburgh, cleared out Cleveland. We're seeing the same thing going on with Detroit. It's been a rush of people out of there. A city of 1.5 million completely contracted to a city of about 750,000. And now you're going to be losing, what, another 15,000 high-paying jobs? And where are those people going to go? They all own homes out there. They all own homes. Or maybe they rent. We see the majority of the nation are now renters, but if they own homes, they're going to be leaving there. It's going to continue this rush, this elimination of manufacturing in the United States, the decimation of our economy. But all of that right there, it just proves what's going on because everything is crumbling. Everything is falling apart. We're broke, folks. That's what's going on in our country. And, they want to point to all these different signs like the stock market. They're not even talking about the enormous amount of leverage that has, been required to be able to create this facade of a booming stock market. It is nothing that is going on by present decisions, even though there could be some speculation getting in there and there could be a little bit of hype. But we see these radical shifts down. None of that that we've seen as positive steps forward in the economy is going to matter with the interest rates continuing to rise. We see home sales have disappeared. The auto sales have disappeared. It's devastating communities. These retailers have been so leveraged. And we've already seen this massive rush of retail bankruptcies. Interest rates keep going up. What happens? More of those loans get called home. They don't have the money. The sales aren't there. It was a very disappointing Black Friday. There aren't the fights that were, normally going on. Nothing really too interesting out of the ordinary. But they really just can't get the people to go out. People are tightening their belt. They're holding on a little bit more to their paycheck. And you know what? It's not even by choice because you look, this nation of renters, everyone's been converted over. You see, they go and they continue to jack up the price. They keep raising the price. All of these buy-to-rent schemes that are going on in the housing market that have artificially raised home prices all over the place, they've been just, bent on creating this nation, and they keep rising rents in the areas. They force us where the only jobs that are left are in the cities that, they decide. And all the people are flowing to these major population zones. All of middle America, all of the blue-collar workers, all of that has been cleared out. All of Main Street America, small-town America has been cleared out. The jobs are gone. A lot of the times you see, sadly, and what we're going to be seeing very soon in Detroit is the decay of the structures, empty skyscrapers, empty malls. You see decay going on around you. In the economy, you see empty malls popping up all over the country, and yet they're funneling us into these places. And within those mega cities where the only employment is going to be anybody who's actually making any kind of gainful employment and can afford these homes, a lot of them, they're renters. They don't want to buy homes. They don't either have enough credit for it because we see what 2008 did to a lot of people's financial situation. But besides that, there are a lot of younger people, so they're not buying cars. They're, taking public transport. They're renting because they're living in these condensed areas. Everybody's forced to live there because outside of there, it's hard to even make a living. All of this is putting pressure. But they still come up with the same problem. And what is that? They cannot fabricate sales. But what's to stop them anyway? It's not like these bankers care anything about the law. They're not at least displaying that in their character. Either way, what we're seeing is, not positive news. We're seeing the decline in home sales. We're seeing the rise in delinquencies on auto loans. We're also seeing a decline in auto sales. What we've seen with this massive increase, people right now, They're concerned. They're concerned interest rates keep going up. The price to borrow keeps going up. More and more of those people that were just kind of in there speculating, bobbling in the price. What happens to home prices if they rush out? We could see a whole nother housing collapse. That would mean everything that they thought was recovery as a result of 0% interest rates could be erased simply by getting close to 3%. I mean, don't act like you weren't warned. All right, thank you guys for joining us here at the Silver Report Uncut. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe, like the videos, share the videos, get the word out. I thank you so much for stopping by. As always, stay safe. Either have enough credit for it, because we see what 2008 did to a lot of people's financial situation, but besides that, there are a lot of younger people, so they're not buying cars. They're, taking public transport. They're renting because they're living in these condensed areas. Everybody's forced to live there because outside of there, it's hard to even make a living. All of this is putting pressure. But they still come up with the same problem. And what is that? They cannot fabricate sales. But I mean, what's to stop them anyway? It's not like these bankers care anything about the law. I mean, they're not at least displaying that in their character. Either way, what we're seeing is, not positive news. We're seeing the decline in home sales. We're seeing the rise in delinquencies on auto loans. We're also seeing a decline in auto sales. What we've seen with this massive increase, people right now, they're concerned. They're concerned interest rates keep going up. The price to borrow keeps going up. More and more of those people that were just kind of in there speculating, bobbling in the price. What happens to home prices if they rush out? We could see a whole nother housing collapse. That would mean everything that they thought was recovery as a result of 0% interest rates could be erased simply by getting close to 3%. I mean, don't act like you weren't warned. All right, thank you guys for joining us here at the Silver Report Uncut. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe, like the videos, share the videos, get the word out. I thank you so much for stopping by. As always, stay safe. To 3%. I mean, don't act like you weren't warned. All right, thank you guys for joining us here at the Silver Report Uncut. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe, like the videos, share the videos, get the word out. I thank you so much for stopping by. As always, stay safe. Share the videos, get the word out. I thank you so much for stopping by. As always, stay safe. Always stay safe.